Hello and welcome to Urban Transformation Talks. This is the final webinar in our three-part series featuring TANGO project sponsored by JPI Urban Europe. In this series, we discuss the challenges municipalities face when implementing sustainability projects and how these challenges help identify what skills and competences are necessary to transition to sustainable urban futures. Through the practical experience with TANGO project, with TANGO Urban Living Labs, we highlight how to support transformative practices in local change process. We also touch upon challenges researchers and civil servants may face when actively managing transformation. By discussing these issues, our hope is to help driving urban change in a sustainable direction. My name is Luciane Borges. I am Senior Research Fellow here at Nordregio, and I will be moderating today's webinar with my colleague Lisa Rohrer. The title of today's webinar is Instruments for Driving Change. So over the next hour, we will hear presentations from our partners, the Austria Institute of Technology and the municipalities of Weiz in Austria and Alytus in Lithuania. And we will also have a panel discussion. And as always, we want to hear from you. So please add your comments and questions to the chat that we will address later on. We will also share the presentations and the video recordings after the event.
We'll begin our discussion this morning with Doris Wilhelmer, who is the project coordinator of TANGO. And Doris spoke at our first webinar that we had for this series, but for those of you who were not able to join, Doris is an innovation researcher and systemic foresight facilitator at the Center for Innovation Systems and Policy at the Austrian Institute of Technology. And she's been doing this since 2003. Doris holds her PhD on organizational development, focusing on new types of trans-organizational soft governance formats, as well as systems-based innovation models. So Doris, I invite you to present.
Thanks so much, Lisa, for introducing me. I'm glad to have the opportunity to show the opportunities and limitations of change interventions, the context governance as enabling the system to change itself, and the foresight process in a first step. Yeah. So sorry, it doesn't work
You can just click in this screen and then after you will have the control from your slides. Now you can go in the arrows. Yes. Okay, just.
Okay. Yes. So hopefully now it works. Yes. Thanks a lot, Luciane. Okay. So society is in need of transformation. We face the acceleration of change. Sorry. And we are confronted with the increasing interdependencies. We have to accept that the room for maneuver for the individual actors is limited, and that there is a need for concerted orientation and visioning processes. When trying to deal with future, we have to accept that future in principle is unforeseeable. Nevertheless, although we cannot know what will happen, we have to shape with today's actions our future. And this is a really paradox situation, especially for the decision makers and as well as for researchers. When trying to initiate transformation, we have to accept that transformation is a systemic phenomenon. It takes place on all levels, on the region, on the levels of the city, the region, the nations of Europe, and of course of the global world. Foresight processes are governance instruments allowing jointly shaping the future on these different levels. There are two different approaches Foresight is offering to all stakeholders included. The first is an explorative approach. It allows to create a multiple kind of possible futures based on analysis. And the second approach is asking for one desirable future, a future of the heart, which is engaging all people included, and which goes beyond problems and constraints. Yes, and Foresight thus works with a broad set of methods, and Popper is very famous because he has brought together all these methods in this diamond. The dimensions addressed are the creativity of people, the strengthening the collaboration between people, and enabling exchange of knowledge of all people included, as well as of implementing analytical methods for exploring evidences. Yes, and thereby Foresight offer two main governance instruments. One is the social architecture you see on the left side, and the other is the content-driven architecture you see on the right side. The social architecture is coordinating the cooperation between all boards and all people included on eye level. The content-related architecture show the three principal steps. One is the analysis of trends and drivers in the fields of policy, technology, and looking for a first system integration. The second is the scenario building, building multiple futures on an analytical way. Reaching out for best cases, worst cases, and business as usual. And the third step is the visioning process at the end, reaching out for the one desirable future, for example, for our energy system, for our mobility system, a future which allows to build and to develop measures for future actions. Yes, and this is that we at the core can say the Foresight allows us to jump into a very far future and to look back from the future to the present, allowing us to see future potentials and to drive innovation in the present. This is the main benefit and the power of Foresight, allowing people to jointly shape future with knowing the future can't be foreseeable and predicted, but jointly shaped. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Doris, for that introduction into Foresight processes. And we'll hear shortly from the municipalities of Weiz and Alytus to hear their perspectives. But I just wonder, from your perspective, Doris, how did this process come about within the TANGO project? Did you approach the cities to initiate a Foresight process, or were some of these processes ongoing before the TANGO project began?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Yeah, this was different, I see. In Weiz, for example, there was the idea to generate a visioning process regarding the city of the whole. And then the issue changed a little bit. It was about focusing on generating a new main square where all people could shape the future functions of this main square. And this only was possible with building a joint vision, because the perspectives and the interests of stakeholders included were such different. Yeah, so this was already an idea in Weiz. In the case of Alytus in Lithuania, there was the curiosity of KTU, Jolanta is today with us, to to implement a set of more cooperating with the citizens when generating new measures for the next 5 years. So this was a very a new step of Alytus reaching out to the stakeholders in asking them for the needs before generating objectives and measures. So it were two very different approaches.
Thank you so much, Doris. And now we will hear from Gottfried Koberl. He is a psychologist and automation engineer specialized in data analysis, monitoring, and statistics. He has been working at Innovation Center Weiz since 2020 in the management of national and international funding projects in various areas. Please, Gottfried.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for introducing me, Luciane. And now I will start to present the foresight or the visioning process for the main square of the city of Weiz. My first slide, I already show you the results of the visioning process. So this is the visioning of the participants who were doing the workshops and the work in the city of Weiz, or for the city of Weiz, for the main square. But how did we get there? Yeah, first a little introduction about the city of Weiz. It's a relatively small city with around 12,000 inhabitants. We have 12,000 workplaces and around 10,500 commuters. And it's industrial heavy city, I would say, in the center of Europe. So how did we come to and in the middle you can see the main square as it is right now. But how did we come to reorganize or to the topic of the main square? Well, through development of the city, the main square wasn't the geographical center of the city anymore. So it went a bit outside of the city center, I would say, geographically. So now it is not that frequented anymore. And we wanted to reshape it so that all citizens and tourists can enjoy the main square again, as it was intended as a main square for a city. So, and how did we do that? Yeah, we started with workshops, including the stakeholders and city representatives. And there we first did state-of-the-art analysis, did best practice analysis of other cities which faced similar problems. And we also had input from experts from different fields like mobility, architecture, environmental analysis, and also we did stakeholder interviews of businesses located in the main square and also citizens who living there. So also this was done before. And then we started to do workshops within the city with the city representatives, and we defined guidelines and functions of the new main square. What should it include and what are, I don't know, not necessary for future developments, like is it needed that there is a lot of parking space there, or is it just short time parking to get stuff from shops? So then with all this input provided before, we got to the visioning process with all the citizens and also with city representatives. And we started this visioning with the inputs already presenting what are the status quo, or what is the status quo now of the main square, and how do we want to get there? How do we want to look? How do we want to see the future main square? What are the dreams of the citizens? What kind of future will mobilize the people to go there? and where do we want to go. And the main results which should be developed in the visioning process should be that the core statements of the joint visions are developed and defined so that everyone agrees, okay, this is what we want to do. Rough success criteria for the design are defined. The before mentioned function lists, what should be included, what is not necessary, has to be defined and checked for completeness. And also, if we want to include or exclude something, why would we include or exclude something? So the reasoning behind that was also a big point for everyone, so that everyone could make their decisions reasonably. Then there was in the workshops also drafts of possible utilization concepts were developed, and the basic requirements for the new main square were defined or are defined. And it is also that past experience or personal experiences influence our decision making. So every one of the participants from the visioning process was thinking about their personal experiences related to the main square. So it could be good, could be bad, could be something from their childhood or something in the middle, like weddings or other main events, something very specific, like exhibitions or something. So this was pre-done in the visioning process, so everybody could see a whole picture of what the status quo of the main square is right now. And then it was to include all these developed functions, visions, guidelines, to create a common goal and to share the working basis for a successful implementation of this main square. Oops, sorry. And now you can see the almost final functions and ideas for the main square, which were developed in the visioning process. And yeah, as I've shown before, the main square visioning for the year 2040 was done a bit differently, I would say, because for the main square in 2040, everything is possible. So no roads have to be there. Every house can be set in a different way. No, I would say, building. Yeah, no borders are set there. So with all the inputs created with the visioning process, a graphical facilitation was done and helped to create this joint vision and create a nice picture of a vision for the year 2040 of the main square in Weiz. And yeah, what are the next steps, or what is the result of this? So the created vision should help provide a roadmap for the administrators and the stakeholders to successfully implement the ideas and inputs and create the place which was formally set by the basic success criteria. The new main square should be sustainable and green, accessible and inclusive for all, create a sense of community, and should work as a cultural and intellectual enrichment for all citizens, and enhances the well-being through a quality of stay at the main square. Yes, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gottfried. It's like very nice to know more about this process, and also like such a beautiful illustrations, and very interesting as well, like this idea of using like personal experiences as well, like in this process. I have a question to you. It's like usually like many these visions, usually cities, they make visions like for the entire city, yeah, or thematic visions, like sectoral visions. But in this case, like for Weiz, you have I want to know like what was the significance of making like this vision at micro scale, like very much like this very site specific in the square of Weiz.
Yeah, I would say it's for testing the process in the visioning. So how to see how the process works. If we want to do a visioning for the whole city, it would be easier to have a pre-test run, I would say. And also it is easier for citizens to see what the results we're doing, because in a small scale you can implement something quicker than in a big scale. So it can show results faster because, as you all know, municipalities or governmental structures work slow or have to follow rules. And maybe on a smaller scale, it's easier to develop something and to implement something.
Really interesting, Gottfried. Thank you so much. Now we will hear from Jolanta Dvarjaneni. Jolanta is a head of the Interdisciplinary Center of Sustainability Research Group at the Institute of Environmental Engineering at Kaunas University of Technology, or KTU. She has a degree in environmental engineering, and her interest is in sustainable development of urban ecosystems and sustainability assessment using the life cycle thinking approach. Welcome, Jolanta.
Thank you, Lisa. I hope that the slides will be shared. Please. Yes. Okay. Thank you. And I hope that, yes, they are moving. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fast. Okay. Thank you very much once again. Hello, everybody. And actually, two partners from Lithuania participate in TANGO-W project, as was announced already. A scientific research organization, Kaunas University of Technology, I'm representing it, and also Alytus city municipality, which I represent today in this webinar. KTU actually invited Alytus city municipality as one of the main good actor in Lithuania who started with a very nice project for resource efficiency, for waste management. Actually, Alytus is one of the greenest cities in Lithuania, you can see from the photo, and almost 33% of the city area covered by parks and forests. And the municipality of Alytus focuses on development of sustainable city. Most important areas and future directions are related with energy efficiency, use of renewable energy sources, renovation of multi-apartment buildings. They have a lot of these buildings. Also, it is very important to modernize the street lighting and decrease emissions to air and water. It means that pollution prevention is very important, and as well waste management. So in the national environmental protection strategy in Lithuania, we have different areas indicated: sustainable use of natural resources and waste management, improvement of environmental quality, preservation of ecosystem stability, mitigation of climate change, and adaptation to environmental changes caused by climate change. Thus, Alytus city aims to develop not only an efficient waste management system, many projects are dedicated for resource efficiency, pollution prevention, and not only in Alytus city, as well in the Alytus region. The waste management plan of Alytus region stipulates that in order to promote not only prevention, but also preparation for reuse of goods, to prepare for circular economy implementation, it is necessary to organize the acceptance of products suitable for repeated use. Since 2018, item exchange points called Mainukai exchange have been operating in each sorting center, and the infrastructure for preparing items for reuse has been created. A center for preparing things for reuse, TICO-TICS, it means that it could be used again, or was set up where people have the opportunity to share things they don't need but are still usable. Environmentally friendly methods for energy saving and production, as well as the awareness of citizens, contribute to the sustainable development of the city. And you can see from the picture how big is the field to work and to make the projects, and this increasing energy efficiency, renovation of public buildings and apartment buildings, street lighting, use of solar energy for the public sector and public transport is one of the also main issues and problems in the city. Alytus has developed the Strategic Development Plan 2030. This plan is a complex legal strategic planning document that determines the general development strategy of the Alytus city municipality, development priorities, goals, objectives, and measures for the implementation of the strategy and implementation stages. Alytus Strategic Development Plan makes it possible to determine the current location and importance of the city in the economic and social life of the country, to evaluate the constantly changing development trends and to analyze their significance for the policy implemented by the municipality. The plan is reviewed and updated. Therefore, during the TANGO-W project, it was decided to choose the purpose of updating this plan and applying an innovative process using a local urban living lab. The plan is reviewed and updated. Therefore, during the TANGO-W project, it was decided to choose different sub-objectives to create recommendations to a new strategic action plan for the development of Alytus from 2024-2026, aimed at achieving a green and sustainable future for the city. Also, thematic focus, as I mentioned before, energy mobility, circular economy, smart digital city, and the long-term issues such as comfortable, healthy city, or city of opportunities. Also, the aim was in the project to learn from other UTC's experiences and learn how to engage different stakeholders in the decision-making process to incorporate their views and into the results. And actually, all the plan in the beginning of the project, the main milestones and activities for our project were selected, and you can see that we have made this force field analysis. We had a vision forum, we planned action plan forum, but this one was skipped. And actually, after the decision making, we are planning still to make an action plan info event for our stakeholders. And the main idea in Alytus was to co-design sustainable strategies for urban development from citizens-oriented perspective and create benefit in the areas of energy efficiency, food and waste management, and especially of food waste. The main all work regarding the invitations and engaging the stakeholders was done by our colleagues from Alytus City Municipality, from the Department of Finance and Investments, and they did a huge work, and they have invited all possible stakeholders in the city, starting from city municipality administration, as well from different institutions, NGOs, business companies, as well citizens. And the main goal was to invite as many representatives of various fields as possible, interested parties, to this our vision forum. During the vision forum, the most important areas for the city were discussed, and those areas are the same what we had have in the TANGO-W project. It was related with the food, energy, water, and governance. And the participants had the opportunity not only to discuss in a small groups, but also to discuss in their opinion the most important issues related to resource conservation, pollution reduction, waste recycling, promoting healthier lifestyle, and many other issues. Finally, during the meeting, the vision of Alytus 2050 was discussed and proposals were prepared, which were visualized by a specialist. And all participants agreed that a very important area is food, what kind of food they consume, what kind of food is supplied to kindergartens and schools. The environment in which they live is also very important. Is the environment clean? Are the surface waters clean? And also very important, what kind of energy is used? Are the energy resources renewable? Is enough attention being paid to energy efficiency? Is sufficient attention paid to local community awareness raising and other environmental protection problems and programs? What were the main findings after the visioning forum? Participants identified the following areas: that development of sustainable territories and infrastructure, increase the efficiency of energy consumption in public facilities and multi-apartment buildings, modernized street lighting, use of renewable energy, especially solar energy sources, reduce the amount of waste by implementing the principles of circular economy, establish a platform of good ideas and communication for the city community. And finally, after summarizing the outcomes of our visioning forum, the following recommendations were made and submitted for the action plan 2024-2026 for the approval. Those were three main points: strengthen environmental education of the urban community regarding waste prevention and sorting in the context of the circular economy, increase energy efficiency in buildings by providing information on energy efficiency measures, promoting the use of renewable resources in households and public buildings, and propose to create a platform for the city community to submit new ideas and proposals. And that's it. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Jolanta. It's really great to hear more about the city of Alytus and what is going on there. And you're here representing the city of Alytus in this presentation, but as you mentioned at the beginning of your presentation today, you are also from KTU and you represent the research organization and the research side within the project of TANGO as well. So I wonder if you could share a little bit about your learnings, key takeaways from this process as from the research perspective.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for this question. Actually, the cooperation with the practitioners for researchers always, it is very, very interesting and important. From my experience, from previous experience, actually, as a researcher, the active involvement of the local community in urban planning was very pleasant surprise. And I know from our discussions with our colleagues from Alytus municipality that they were this process, visioning forum, especially when the people were invited to discuss and they had an opportunity to present and raise the ideas, and these ideas were discussed not only with a few people in the group, but also with all involved people in this our visioning forum. They really acknowledge this process and they like this and they want to have this such processes in the future when it comes to the planning activities in the city, or to discuss all problems and issues in the city. So I really like this process, and as a researcher I was, as I said, surprised that they really comparing with the maybe in our experience in previous projects and previous experiences, now people they are more active comparing with previous times.
It's exciting to hear about that activation of those people. And now we will turn back to Doris to finalize our presentations today. And Doris will share a bit more about the phases of change and transformative governance instruments. Welcome back, Doris.
Thanks a lot. Yes.
We're just pulling up the presentation.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks a lot also, Jolanta, for your presentation, and also Gottfried. I think it's so beautiful for me to see how the cities are starting in very, very different initial situations, and what they are doing when they start into collaborative sharing and shaping their futures. This is very beautiful over the time to see how the team of very different researchers and representatives of universities and city decision makers are coming together and growing, let's say, to a team. It's like a team building effect, and this is not so easy because Europe has so many differences concerning the traditions of the different organizations and, of course, of the people involved. So I want to try now to activate this slides. Yes, I hope. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, thanks a lot also for announcing that I will deal now with the phases of change. The phases of change go back to Claes Janssen, and I think it's a very experience everybody of us is sharing. So first indication of the need for change are usually denied, argued with previous successes which are visible in the city or in also research organizations and other enterprises. But when it is finally clear that the previous system is not working anymore, confusion usually arises. Those affected have no adequate means of creating of reacting, yes, to the new situation. So this is where confusion appears. In order to be able to deal with the new situation, the next steps is for those affected to look for new solutions. This enables a renewal of the system. The successes that can now be achieved through these new solutions again lead to satisfaction and optimism for everyone. So this is a new stable situation. We can start again with generating successes, but also looking for new challenges and demands for transformation. So surely you will know Marvin Weiz and his principles for future search, the Future Search Conference. It's about what do we need to be aware of in order to deal with successfully a transformation. Change can only succeed in the context of all partners and the regulations of the system involved. So the first principle is therefore to bring the entire system in the room. Problems usually lead to fear and to blame. The second principle is therefore to focus on a shared vision beyond problems and beyond constraints of the present. Working on conflicts without an understanding for each other increases the likelihood of know-it-all behavior and power struggles between lobbyist groups. So the third principle is to find common ground instead of immediately working on conflicts. Resistance often arises because we overlook influences and interactions of important values and central regulations in the European context. The third principle, therefore, says that we must explore the entire system at all levels, from the city to global developments, and on the timeline between past and future, to be able to intervene jointly successfully. To minimize dependence on the past and resistance, the fifth principle advises us working in self-organized groups where people, stakeholders involved, but also we, the researchers and the city representatives, can use our own know-how and potentials to achieve the common vision. The sixth principle emphasizes that coordinated measures involving many stakeholders concerned can only be successfully implemented if a common desirable future vision has been developed beforehand. Which governance instruments can we use to successfully moderate transformation? We need joint transformation rooms, where decision makers and experts from the cities work together with transformative researchers to find ways to work with all stakeholders concerned to find new ways, new solutions, e.g. in the areas of food, of water, of energy, of circular economy, and so on, what, for example, Yolanda was telling us. Thus, transformation builds on a common learning process of all included. There are no people who know and people who don't know. All have the same stage of learning from each other if a transformation should be successfully. Yes, and here you see governance instruments which allow to structure urban living labs on the level of coordinating the communication between the main actors and stakeholders in the system. On the left side, you see the traditional top-down project management architecture, where researchers are integrated in the city hierarchy. This reduces the room for maneuver and thus the ability to facilitate a fundamental renewal of the city. On the right side, you see on the same system, but it's embedded in a social architecture for complex projects. And here, in contrast to the left side, the transformation researchers remain outside and are cooperating with all members on an eye level. Yeah, thus being able to question all existing solutions, objectives, and routines of all people, also of the clients involved. Yeah, importantly for transformation, which is successful, is that the masters of ceremonies for this change can only be both transformative researchers as well as transformative civil servants, and this needs a new interpretation of the traditional roles of researchers and of civil servants. Transformative researchers are invited to act as systemic counselors, driving and changing these patterns of communication and collaboration in order to allow fundamental change and going beyond their broad knowledge and feeding it in on demand if necessary. On the other hand, we have the transformative civil servants acting as systemic-oriented project managers, appreciating and asking for the external perspectives of the transformative researchers being the companions in shaping these transformation processes. Yes, and when you try to future set up and implement transformative research projects in GPI Europe or Horizon projects, please pay the attention to the most important risks of our transformative work. The first is, don't get part of the hierarchy of a city and of a research organization during this process of urban transformation. Because if you do, you will be assimilated by the system, and your room of maneuver for driving a fundamental transformation will be dramatically reduced. And the second is, try to understand the system, explore the system in order to be helpful in generating new solutions. Otherwise, you will be thrown out of the system and can't do anything. So many thanks.
Thank you so much, Doris, and thank you also for all the presenters, great presentations. So now I would like to invite you all back to the screen for our discussion. And I will begin with Doris, to kick off this discussion. It's just shortly, Doris, if you can tell us, why is visioning process important?
Yeah, I think it's very clear mentioned by Weiz in this future search approach also. Without a joint vision, the joint vision is, let's say, the third party. Yeah, if all stakeholders involved with all the very different interests don't have a joint vision, then they are not able to cooperate and share a new future. So they have to go for a vision which is accepted by all and which is desirable for the children and the grandchildren. This allows to go out of the limited interests and struggles and power struggles in reaching out for a better future for the children and for all of us.
Thank you so much. Very insightful and very good approach. I turn to Yolanda then, in one of your slides, you listed a long list of potential stakeholders. So can you share your experiences and challenges and successes of bringing such a broad group together to discuss about the future of Alytus?
Mm-hmm. Yes, actually, as practice shown, specialists working in different fields, they are really overwhelmed with the workload, and they are to take them and bring to one place and to discuss it's challenging. But afterwards, after the event, what we experienced, they were very satisfied and thankful that they had an opportunity to discuss, to learn from each other, to meet each other, and to discuss that the things and problems, city problems, are sometimes could be understood in different way, and some solutions can come from different stakeholders and suggestions. So sometimes very small thing can encourage or start the huge and very important change in the city from the from the citizens or from different areas, from businesses.
Thanks, Yolanta. I also want to turn to Gottfried now, and we actually have a question in the chat that I thought maybe you could address, Gottfried, about funding. Of course, the funding aspect of projects is always very important, and so you've spoken a bit about the visioning process, but our question in the chat is about what kind of funding is available for actually implementing plans after the visioning process.
Thank you for the question. Like always in implementing something within municipalities and structures, mostly subsidies or look where subsidies are possible from different sources. Maybe from the federal government, there is money to be included in the development, but mostly it would be the municipality's budget itself. So yeah, like the normal process for creating the budgets is through the municipality, and then look for subsidies where it is possible to include as well money for the implementation process or for implementations.
Oh. And then Doris, I want to turn things back to you as well, because you've been researching urban transformative capacity for quite some time, and you also have a lot of experience with organizational development. And I'm wondering, what are some of the limitations of transformative governance processes? And are there any other risks that researchers and cities should be aware of?
I think the most important is that the cities and the researchers is that they need each other. Yeah, it's not to be divided. It's not to focus only on an expertise, on a discipline, or it's not to struggle which method is the best one. So if we want to jointly enhance the development of the European cities and of Europe in a sustainability direction, we need the methods, we need the experiences, we need the expertise of everyone to be able to react in an adequate time on all the challenges we have to face as cities. So it's a lot about staying curious, learning from each other. If something is very new, to ask and to try to understand, and not to neglect this new thing, but to, let's say, know that the maybe strange one has a new information which can help me dealing with my own problems. So this is staying curious, open, and willing to learn self, not only teaching the others, but staying in a learning process, everyone.
Thank you so much, Doris. And then in light of what we just said about like the joint collaboration between like researchers and practitioners, which is like a must, like to address like the problems, I would like to ask Gottfried about like two questions more or less, like if this participatory practice, they are a standard step like in the decision making of Weiz, is one question, and then how has the experience in Tango project reshaped like in any way like the working routines of Weiz municipality?
Yeah, thank you for the question. The first question, I would say, was not a standard practice for municipality. It is not really. It was a that process was done 12 years ago, I think, but it's still not a standard process. But now, through the experience of the visioning and the new way to do it in TANGO-W, I think it reshaped the thinking of the workers in the government or of the municipality a bit, because now they think about how to include all the citizens and stakeholders more if they want to implement something. Sometimes it's not possible to do it because the municipality has to decide, but for projects which include all, or which should include all citizens of the municipality, I think it's developed a sense of awareness, so they include all participants, citizens and stakeholders as well in the development of the implementations.
Thank you so much. Thanks. I will turn to Doris quickly now, just to ask, since this is our last webinar, like in the series, I would like to ask, like, what are the key takeaways from this whole series, like from these 3 webinars, or what are like the key messages from the project that you would like to highlight to our audience?
Yes, thank you, Luciane, for this question. Yeah, and I think it's very fascinating. Yesterday, I stayed in Weiz, and I met one of this manager of the mobility department, Gottfried, and he was saying, "Yes, nice to see you." It was a very spontaneous reaction, and he said, "Yeah, it was very fascinating. Every workshop was very complete different, and so on." And for me, it was very beautiful to see the joy in the face of this manager, yeah, of these people in charge of the mobility department. So I think it's about to know. So it's Wolfram focuses on the urban transformative capability. And it's so beautiful to experience for all people included that transformation is nothing bad. Yeah, it's something, if it's shared, it can be really mobilizing, it can be fascinating, it can be a beautiful experience, and it can bring together the people. The results really, you see, they are joint successes. You have stories to tell in your teams, and also to your children and to your grandchildren. So they are really inspiring experiences, and they are so necessary, because the only stable element in our life is the transformation. So it's about to deal with this stable element of transformation, and not to be afraid of it, but instead of to say, okay, let's do a joint adventure. Let's set up a new project. Let's reach out for new fundings. Let's go for circular economy, for food, for water, for the interconnections, so that we will find these solutions together. And this is about knowing all this, yes, that we need each other. We need every expertise, but we need also to know how to govern this transformation. It's not going alone. We need the transformative civil servants, we need the transformative researchers. We need a new acting between them in order to allow a resilience of cities to deal with all these upcoming challenges, not to be afraid, but with curiosity, and to say, okay, there comes a challenge. Let's do it. Yeah, we can. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Doris. It's very inspirational as well, like very beautiful words. But here it's almost 11 o'clock here in Stockholm. So we are at the end of the series, and I would like to thank our speakers and you in the audience for joining us. We will be sharing the presentations and recordings with all of you, like in the following days. And also, please, like, take a minute, like, to give us a feedback on the webinar. And if you would like to know more about Tango, please visit our website. You will find our publications and deliverables, more information about our partners, the municipalities in their like urban living labs, and stay tuned as well, like, because we will have like following dissemination and engagement activities this year, and then in the beginning of 2025. We will have the release of Tango curriculum, and also like policy recommendations, and possibly like an online workshop where we will be possible like to explore a little bit more some of the methodologies that we use in Tango. Please, I think the link of our website is in the chat, so visit us, and thanks again for joining, and I wish you all a great day. Thank you.